So you're probably thinking to yourselves, Rogue July, what's that? Is that a Star Wars event? You know, because obviously Book Trek's going on. Maybe we've got a Rogue One Star Wars book event, but you would be wrong. It is in fact a celebration of the author Hugh Walpole, who you may or may not know, who at one point was extremely popular. He is of the Walpole family, so his great forebears include the other Walpole, whose name escapes me, Horace Walpole, is it? Who wrote Castle of Otranto, and of course the first Prime Minister in British history, Robert Walpole. So they are of the same family, although not necessarily in a direct lineage from each other. So you're probably thinking, who's Hugh Walpole? What is it that I've got to read? What is this? Is it worth doing? Well, it is. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Book Time with Elvis, with me, Mark, and I hope you're doing very well. And yes, this is Rogue July, and it will become clear in a moment as to why it's called that. So, Hugh Walpole wrote a lot of books from around 1909 until 1941, when he sadly passed away. And he was, in his time, extremely popular, although he's fallen out of favour. For what reason, I couldn't tell you. Just doesn't seem at all to be popular. You almost never see anybody read his works anymore on BookTube. I first read two works by him. Was it last year? Maybe it was last year. There was a World War I event on, and I wanted to read something different. And Hugh Walpole had written a book about some English... Were they medics, you see? I read so much I can't remember. Medics who found themselves on the Eastern Front in the First World War with the Russians. It was written during the First World War, and it's called The Dark Forest. And then there is a sequel of sorts, which I read, called The Secret City, and both I thought were excellent. So I wanted to read and discover more of Hugh Walpole, and luckily the wonderful Roy from Roy Reads Anything thought it would be nice to have an event around this wonderful author, much forgotten, sadly, undeservedly so forgotten, I think. And we were trying to come up with names, and given the book that is the centerpiece for this event, although it's not necessarily not only this book, you'll see in a second what I mean, but the main centerpiece of this book is the first book in the Herries series that he wrote, and that is Rogue Herries. So it is an historical fiction that takes place in the 17th century in England, up in the Lake District, and it is followed by 3 other novels, although I believe they are over different time periods and do act as standalones. So if you join us in reading Rogue Herries and you would want to continue with the second book, Judith Paris, the third book, The Fortress, and the final book, Vanessa. However, if Rogue Herries really takes off for you, you may want to go back and check out the prequels to this series that he wrote, called The Bright Pavilions and Catherine Christian. So throughout July, we're inviting you to join us being Roy Reads Anything, Sean D. Stanfast, and Debs from Rainer Read Stuff, in reading Rogue Herries in July. Some of us are going to go on and read the other books in the series. If you want to take part but don't fancy reading any of his novels, you can, if you don't fancy reading any of those novels, you can choose something else, or you may want to choose a short story by Walpole, of which, of course, there are quite a few. And what I would suggest is that if you live in Canada, especially, you can download Rogue Herries for free because it is in the public domain over there, and possibly in other countries that had the old 50-year rule. However, the Canada equivalent of Project Gutenberg, which is called Faded Page, doesn't have any geo-block on it, if you know what I mean. So the ebook, although only technically available in Canada, may well be available elsewhere as well. Alternatively, of course, you can buy it. I'm sure you'll pick it up in any kind of second-hand shop. I'm sure the Kindle version, if you do pay for it, isn't that expensive. I haven't looked. Or, order yourself a copy from a good bookshop. So that's it. I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. I want to discover more of Walpole and hope that you will join us for Rogue July. Now you see why that name becomes clear. Look forward to seeing you all there on this wonderful literary adventure and something new. Do take care. All the best. Bye-bye.